Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada. Gurudev 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 Gurudev. Jai Om Vishnupad Brahmahamsa Parivar Jagataya Satara Shata Shri Srimad Vangreshle Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Shalaya Das Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Guru Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyamakunda Radha Kundagiri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Mathura Dham Ki Jai. Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Mathura Dham Ki Jai, Dwarka Dham Ki Jai, Gangamaya Ki Jai, Yamunamaya Ki Jai, Tulasi Devi Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Samaveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai, Gaura Premanande Hari Bol. All glories to some Lords, Hare Krishna. All glories to some Lords, all glories to some devotees. All glories to His Holiness Shri Bhakti Thru Maharaj Ki Jai. Hare Krishna. So, before I begin, I would just like to say a few words about the departure about His Holiness Shri Bhakti Thru Maharaj on this it's both a glorious occasion and a sad occasion. Remove this. Okay. I wasn't sure. So I just want to say a few words before I begin about Shri Bhakti Thru Maharaj. This is both a sad occasion and a glorious occasion. So when a Vaishnav, especially a great Vaishnav, departs this world, it's very sad, because the living entities in this world have forgotten Krishna. And it's by the mercy of the great devotees that such persons may come back to Krishna. So it's said that the devotee is even more merciful than Krishna. Krishna doesn't interfere with our independence. If we want to go away, okay. He's detached. But the devotees, they care very much about the living entities and the Lord, and so they try to bring. So therefore, the devotees are very dear, most dear to the Lord. So when a devotee goes, that is an occasion of sorrow. But at the same time, it's glorious, because the devotee, he has shown by his example how to surrender to the Lord, how to worship and serve the Lord. And so, on these occasions, we should remember such great devotees and offer our obeisances, remember their instructions, and follow their example. So, I had only limited association with Maharaj, just on a very few occasions. I remember back in 1988, when I was young bhakta in Dublin, Ireland. So I remember Bhakti Thru Maharaj. He was one of the first Indian sannyasis I had ever met. This is very interesting for me because, of course, coming to Krishna consciousness, it's in the West, you have some introduction to the culture and everything like that, but to see somebody who's come from Prabhupada's culture, from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's culture, is a special thing. So God is one, yet there's also within God, there's also variety. There's oneness and difference, achintya bheda bheda, tattva. Inconceivable oneness and difference. And so I remember it was on the top floor of the Crow Street Temple. So in Dublin, downtown, there's a place called Crow Street. It's like a crow, but it's spelled with an E, C-R-O-W-E. And we had it at 7 Crow Street. And it's not far from, it's very right in the downtown of Dublin, and it's not far from the famous Trinity College. And so I remember we were on the top of our building. We had a whole building. The bottom was a restaurant, and second floor, this was like our temple room. And then top floors, we had like brahmachari ashram and living quarters. And then I remember the top, he was giving a class, and I remember how he was giving a class, and I thought he was quoting Prabhupada. And by this time, I had been reading a good many of Srila Prabhupada's books, and I said, no, that's not Prabhupada, that's Bhakti True Maharaj, but he sounds so much like Prabhupada. So that was my first impression of Bhakti True Maharaj. So Maharaj, he's done wonderful preaching, wonderful service. He translated all of Srila Prabhupada's books back from the English into the Bengali, his native language. So it's a very special thing. The Bengali language is a very special language because Mahaprabhu spoke it. He was a native language, and Prabhupada spoke it. So that was a very special service he rendered. Of course, you can trust those books too. Some of our BBT translations are sometimes they're a little bit difficult, but Bhakti True Maharaj is very satisfying. Then many other services that Maharaj has done is, for those of you, I think most devotees here have been to Ujjain, seen the temple there, a very wonderful temple. So Ujjain is a famous city. It's one of 12 Nitya Shahars, one of 12 eternal cities. So it's also a very special place. So they have a very nice project there. Maharaj, he also oversaw the production of the Abhay Charan television series. Something about our Srila Prabhupada. There's so much propaganda about devotees, useless devotees, or so-called devotees, but to have a real devotee in the public, story about it and told in the public in a medium that the public has immediate access to. It's a very special thing. And so Maharaj, with all these accomplishments and many, many more, he's departed us. And so we're all very bereaved. We're mourning his loss. So we shall remember him. So today, we're going to read from Śrī Caitanya-caritāmṛta Madhya-līlā, chapter 1, texts 123 to 126. Jaya Jaya Śrī Caitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Śrī Caitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Śrī Caitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. So I'm going to read the Bengali in the translation until we get to verse 126 in the purport. Then we have that up there. So 126 we'll read responsively. Bhakta sanidinakatta tahani rahila godera bhakta isse samachara paila. Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu remained for some days at Alalanath. In the meantime, he received news that the devotees from Bengal were coming to Jagannāth Puri. Nityananda sarvabhauma agraha karinya nilachale haila Mahaprabhu ke laina. When the devotees from Bengal arrived at Jagannāth Puri, both Nityananda Prabhu and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya greatly endeavored to take Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu back to Jagannāth Puri. Virahe vivala prabhu na jane ratri dine hena kale aila gaudere bhaktagane. When Lord Caitanya Mahāprabhu finally left Alalanath to return to Jagannāth Puri, he was overwhelmed both day and night due to separation from Jagannāth. His lamentation knew no bounds. During this time, all the devotees from different parts of Bengal, and especially from Navadvip, arrived in Jagannāth Puri. Sabe, mili, yukti, kari, kīrtana-āveśe, kīrtana-āveśe, prabhura, sthira, haila. So we'll just chant this together. Sabe, mili, yukti, kari, ārambhila. Kīrtana-āveśe, prabhura, sthira, haila. Sabe, mili, yukti, kari, ārambhila. Kīrtana-āveśe, prabhura, sthira, haila. Sabe, mili, yukti, kari, ārambhila. Kīrtana-āveśe, prabhura, sthira, haila. Hare Krishna. Sabe, mili, meeting all together, yukti, kari, after due consideration, kirtana, congregational chanting of the holy name, ārambhila, began, kīrtana-āveśe, in the ecstasy of kirtan, prabhura, of Lord Caitanya Mahāprabhu, mana, the mind, sthira, pacified, haila, became. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Śrī Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. After due consideration, all the devotees began chanting the holy name congregationally. Lord Chaitanya's mind was thus pacified by the ecstasy of the chanting. Purport. Being absolute in all circumstances, Lord Jagannāth's person, form, picture, and kirtan are all identical. Therefore, when Caitanya Mahāprabhu heard the chanting of the holy name of the Lord, he was pacified. Previously, he had been feeling very morose due to separation from Jagannātha. The conclusion is that whenever a kirtan or pure devotee or pure devotees take place, whenever a kirtan of pure devotees takes place, the Lord is immediately present. By chanting the holy names of the Lord, we associate with the Lord personally. Om Agnātimanandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Śrī Caitanya-manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Karamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Uttapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagradatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vatam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijanasitam Krishna Caitanya Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Veshakamnidamscha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Shmati Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaudavani Pracharane Nirvashesha Shinivari Bhashtata Deshtarane Vanchakalpatarubhasya Kripasnavacha Patitanam Bhavanibhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gauda Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. It says in this verse, it's pointed out nicely, that the Lord, he was overwhelmed by the separation from Lord Jagannātha. But when the Lord's holy name was chanted in kirtan by the pure devotees, the Lord became pacified. So, how is this possible? What this means is that the holy name of the Lord and the Lord are non-different, that they are identical. The Lord is absolute, therefore there is no difference between the Lord's holy name and the Lord himself. So therefore, whenever the devotees, they chant the Lord's holy name purely, the Lord is personally present. So, how is this possible? We see in Bhagavad Gita that the devotees of the Lord, they derive great pleasure from hearing and conversing about the Lord. Matchitta madgata prana bodhayanta parasparam katayantas chamam nitya tushyantya charamanticha. So the devotees of the Lord, they take pleasure in the Lord. That is because they're associating with the Lord simply by chanting and conversing and talking about the Lord. So the Iskcon society is part of the Hare Krishna movement. It is a branch of the Chaitanya tree for spreading the glories of the holy name of the Lord. Because of separation from the Lord, the living entities are in misery, they're in darkness. And by coming in contact with the Lord, then the devotees, then the persons get a chance to actually go beyond this material world and also become devotees of the Lord. Therefore, the Harinam Sankirtan is one of our most important programs that must go on. But this is the basis, the ontological basis of the Hare Krishna movement, is that the Lord, he's personally present everywhere. And yet the Lord has his own existence. Mayatatam midam sarvam jagadavyaktamurtina matstani sarvabhutani nachaham teshvavastata. So Krishna explains nicely in the Gita that the Lord he pervades this whole world, is all pervasive. Sarvavyapi, I believe that's the term. He pervades everything. Yet at the same time, the Lord has his own existence. So, the Mayavadis, they say that the Lord's form is material, that this is a Maya, that the Lord is only he's only all pervasive, but he doesn't have a personal form. So this is an incomplete understanding in itself, because we see that there's personality, and we also see that there's also a oneness. So they stress on the Mayavadis, they stress on the oneness. There's only oneness. But oneness cannot explain the variegatedness, the varieties in this world. Even if you say that the varieties are Maya, still, Maya is a reflection. It's an illusion of something. Therefore, there is a reality. Therefore, there is a reality, and variegatedness is a real. So, the complete understanding given by Caitanya Mahāprabhu is called achintya bedha beda tattva. So, it is only possible to understand how the holy name of the Lord is simultaneously one with the Lord. One has to understand it through the philosophy of achintya beda beda tattva. So, another part of achintya beda beda tattva is the achintya part. Achintya means inconceivable. The Ishopanishad, it is said that the Lord walks and does not walk. Tadejati tanai-jati. That he is far away, but he is within everything as well. Tadre tadvantake. Tadantarasya sarvasya tadu sarvasya sibalyataha. That he is within everything and yet he is outside of everything. So this is confirmed by Vedas, that the Supreme Lord, he walks and he does not walk. Well, how is it possible to walk and not walk at the same time? For an ordinary person, it's one or the other, but not for the Lord. Therefore, Srila Jiva Goswami says that the Lord has inconceivable potencies. In other words, it is beyond the ability of our minds to understand. It is inconceivable. And without the Lord having inconceivable potencies, then the Lord cannot be the Lord. If we could conceive in the Lord, then he'd be limited, wouldn't he? Because we have limited mind, we have limited facilities. And if we could perfectly understand the Lord, if we could understand the Lord completely, just through our mind or our own effort, then we wouldn't be the Lord. We'd be greater. So, therefore, this achintya is necessary to understand. So the Lord is simultaneously present and he's not present at the same time. So the atheists, they do not understand this. They do not accept. So when Prahlad Maharaj was faced with his father Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyakashipu was so angry with his son, was so hateful towards his son for being a devotee of Vishnu that he wanted to kill him. But before he could kill his son, he wanted to demonstrate that the Lord is simply some mundane mental speculation. So he asked his son Prahlad, he said, "My dear Prahlad," he said, well, he wasn't speaking very dearly to his son at this point. He didn't say, "My dear Prahlad." He said, "So you say your Lord is everywhere?" And Prahlad says, "Yes, he's everywhere." "So he's in this pillar." And Prahlad, being 100% faithful, devoted to the Lord, said, "Yes, he is in this pillar. Then I will destroy this pillar, and then I will destroy you. And I'll kill you." So Hiranyakashipu, he struck the pillar, and out of this pillar a frightful sound came, and out of the pillar came Lord Nrsingadev personally to prove that the words of his pure devotee are always true. So the Lord, by his very activities and by his very potencies, he demonstrates this principle of achintya bheda bheda tattva, that he's all pervasive and yet he is also aloof, or he's beyond everything. So same thing with the holy name of the Lord and everything connected with the Lord. Everything connected with the Lord also has the potency, just like the Lord's jewelry, the Lord's weapons, the Lord's associates. So Lord Nityananda, he's also an expansion of the Lord. He's also the Lord himself. Yet due to the mercy of Lord Nityananda, his greatly fallen people like Jagai and Madai could be delivered. And so the same way, even the humble devotees, even the neophyte devotee can deliver people. That's a very wonderful thing. Very wonderful thing. It's because of the potency of the Lord. So therefore, things in connection with the Lord, his associates, his weapons, his characteristics, his holy name, they are all worshipable. So now, practically applying this understanding, Srila Prabhupada sometimes spoke about the term unity in diversity. So it's the English language. It's a little clumsy, but it's the. But whenever Srila Prabhupada, he used this term unity in diversity, he was always referring to the philosophy of achintya bheda bheda tattva. So the unity, this abheda, also sometimes aikya, is oneness. So how to practically, what is the practical application of this in the lives? So sometimes there was some astrologer who once said that Srila Prabhupada built a house in which the whole world can live. But that does not mean the Mayavadis can live in that house. Right? They'll destroy the house. So we don't want that kind of oneness. So then what does the oneness mean? So oneness means there's a unity. There's a unity with the Lord. Just like, for example, you have a business. The business is some father, like, was it Bailal Patel and Sons? Okay? So the sons don't become the father, but they're one in interest. Just like if I grasp these set of cartels, my fingers, they're acting in one. There's one purpose. So in the same way, the devotees of the Lord, there are differences among the devotees of the Lord. But the oneness, this unity, comes through practicing the devotional service according to Bhakti Siddhanta. So, Tatrādadana monayo jnana vairagya yupvaivam pasyantyatmani chatmanam bhakti sruta grihitaya. So, this bhakti sruta grihitaya, that you accept the devotional service, the devotees accept the devotional service according to the Vedanta Shrutis. Bhakti Vedanta, that's not just a flowery title. Bhakti Vedanta means bhakti according to Vedanta. It's very important. So why is this so important? is because the Lord is inconceivable. One must follow the instructions of the Lord. It's very important. Just for example, in the Vedas it is said that the bone of an animal is untouchable. However, the conch is pure. We have to accept. It may be inconceivable, but that is the potency of the Lord. So therefore, the devotees, they practice according to the potency, they practice according to the directions of the Lord. So, in order to realize, make progress toward realizing that the Lord and His holy name are non-different, one criterion is that one must practice devotional service according to the Shastras, according to the Acharyas, especially the Shastras. Second criteria is that one must avoid what is called rasabhas. So rasabhas refers to an improper mixture of sentiments. So praying to the Lord and expressing our devotional sentiments, this is just a normal part of our devotional life, but rasabhas is an improper mixture of those sentiments. So if one does not follow so the rasabhas, an example of rasabhas is, say there is one impersonalist, he was praying, he says, my Lord, he was saying that after meeting you, I've come to realize the impersonal Brahman. So that's an example of rasabhas. Or even sometimes somebody's saying, I've come to see the temple. I've come to see Krishna in the temple. Now I'm, my material, my material desires are fulfilled. This is also a mixed sentiment. We want to avoid those kind of those kind of sentiments. Of course, neophytes and those in the very lower stages, sometimes they say like that, but they have to eventually give those up under the guidance of a pure devotee in the course of time. So, if one does not follow Bhakti Siddhanta, then one will become a Mayavadi. And if one does not avoid the rasabhas, one will become a sahajya. So the serious devotees, they will avoid both those things, and they will come to the devotional platform. So I have a letter here that says, is a request. His Holiness Gopal Krishna Maharaj wants to have more glorification today. He also come after 1/2 hour, 8:45 a.m. for glorification. There's few more devotees who could not glorify yesterday will also glorify. So I'm speaking until 8:45. There's like 2-3 minutes here if anybody has any questions or comments to make. Then we'll... Yes, Prabhuji. Whoa, 1 second. Yeah.
Radha Parthasati Gauranatai Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman. It comes in Rasabhav. Can you explain how it comes in Rasabhav? How is it true? In Tattva it is same.
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
So in the Kirtan, sometimes devotees sing Gauranitai Sitaram Lakshmanam Radha Patsat in one. So this one in Jayavadvait Maharaj says it. This is in Rasabhav. So can you explain how to understand this? Well, in Rasabhav, how in this is very clearly understood. It is something impersonalism and personalism. How in the devotional service as we practice, we know that in personalism also, in devotional also, we can become a Rasabhav.
Yeah, well, there's in Vedanta Sutra, it talks about different kinds of bhaktas. There's some bhaktas you'll see devotees will go from altar to altar to see the Lords and that. So they have some attachment to the Lord. But there are devotees who have like, they're like, what are they called? Ekanta bhaktas, that they focus only on one form of the Lord. So like some devotees are Ram bhaktas, some devotees are Krishna bhaktas, other devotees are Lord. So it says there that their devotion is more intense. Okay, so just because you remember all the forms of the Lord, okay, just like when we do Prema Dvani prayers, we're remembering all, kind of like, all kinds of tirthas, all kinds of devotees, everything. That's not a rasa bhas. Okay, that's just, but we should remember all those. But some devotees, they have, an attachment to a particular form. Other devotees, their devotion is not considered as intense as those who have one particular attachment. Just like Anupam, the younger brother of Rupa and Sanatana, he could not give up his attachment to Lord Ram. And so this is not necessarily rasabhas. There is a mantra that one Sahajya person he spoke, which is rasabhas, because it's mixing everything. It's that's a mixed sentiment. So just because you say, like, if I say Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman, Gornitai Sitaram Lakshman.
Together, if you separately.
It's understood. It's separate when they're saying that like that in the kirtan. But if you're going to kind of like chant it like in the mantra and that, then just like, for example, there's one Sahajya sect called the Gauranga Nagaris. That is a good example of rasabhas. It's Caitanya Mahāprabhu in the mood of an enjoyer. That's not acceptable. He's enjoying Caitanya Mahāprabhu, enjoying with the gopis. That's, but this is where it leads to, even, this small kind of thing. So we have to be careful. We have to learn these books very carefully.
Thank you.
Yes, Prabhuji.
In one temple, they wanted to install Radha, Krishna and Balram. One temple, they wanted to install Radha, Krishna and also Balramji. So that was rejected actually by the GBC, and because it is a rasabhas.
Yes, that's another good example. It's rasabhas. It's an improper mixture of transcendental mellows. So this is Swarup Damodar Goswami. He would always review any presentation before Lord Chaitanya before it was recited to him, because the pure devotees, they cannot tolerate this rasabhas. So that would be pratikul. That kind of devotion is pratikul, not anukul. Anything else, Prabhuji?
हिंदी अच्छा, तो यहाँ पर बताया गया है कि चैतन्य महाप्रभु जब दक्षिण भारत की यात्रा से आए थे जगन्नाथपुरी में, स्नान यात्रा के दिन आए थे। तो स्नान यात्रा के बाद फिर जगन्नाथ जी का दर्शन बंद हो गया। तो चैतन्य महाप्रभु विरह से व्याकुल हो गए और 15 दिन तक जगन्नाथ दर्शन नहीं देंगे, तो अब क्या करूं? तो भाग गए, अलालनाथ में गए। अलालनाथ का दर्शन करते हुए वो जो है अपना विरह शांत करते थे। अब अलालनाथ तक उन्होंने सोच लिया कि रहेंगे, जब तक रथ यात्रा शुरू नहीं होगी। रथ यात्रा के दिन ही आएंगे, क्योंकि रथ यात्रा के दिन ही जगन्नाथ जी का दर्शन होगा। तो 15 दिन तक चैतन्य महाप्रभु ने सोच लिया कि अलारनाथ में ही रहेंगे। लेकिन इस बीच में बंगाल से भक्त लोग आ गए और चैतन्य महाप्रभु को समाचार दिया गया कि भक्त लोग आ गए, लेकिन चैतन्य महाप्रभु नहीं आ रहे हैं, क्योंकि जगन्नाथ के दर्शन नहीं होंगे तो चैतन्य महाप्रभु नहीं आना चाहते हैं। तो नित्यानंद प्रभु सार्वभौम भट्टाचार्य बहुत प्रयास से लेके आए जगन्नाथपुरी में, लेकिन चैतन्य महाप्रभु विरह में बहुत कष्ट पा रहे हैं कि अलालनाथ से भी दूर हो गए, यहाँ जगन्नाथ जी का भी दर्शन नहीं हो रहा है, बहुत कष्ट पा रहे हैं विरह से। तो सब भक्तों ने फिर मिलकर के युक्ति बनाई, एक ऐसा युक्ति, एक ऐसा उपाय बनाया कि चैतन्य महाप्रभु को कैसे शांत किया जाए। तो फिर क्या किया, सब लोगों ने मिलकर के जो है कीर्तन किया। तो इसमें बताएंगे सबे मिली कीर्तन-āveśe, सब लोग मिलकर के कीर्तन आरंभ करते हैं, तो श्री कृष्ण संकीर्तन कहलाता है। तो इसमें चैतन्य महाप्रभु का विरह दूर हो गया। तो वैसे चैतन्य महाप्रभु विरह में भी कृष्ण बोलते हैं या जगन्नाथ बोलते हैं तो विरह दूर नहीं होता है, उनका विरह बढ़ रहा है। तो वो भी एक प्रकार की उपस्थिति है कृष्ण की, विरह में भी कृष्ण उपस्थित हैं। विरह में भक्त कृष्णा चिल्लाता है और कृष्ण का नाम लेता है और उसका विरह और बढ़ता है। तो ये विरह में भी भगवान की उपस्थिति है। लेकिन जब सब मिलकर के कीर्तन करते हैं, भक्तों का जो है जब सामूहिक कीर्तन होता है तो एक दूसरे प्रकार की उपस्थिति है कि चैतन्य महाप्रभु का विरह भाव दूर हो गया और मन शांत हो गया और प्रसन्न हो गया। तो इसमें दोनों प्रकार से, अकेले भी कृष्ण का नाम लेने से कृष्ण की अनुभूति होती है व्यक्ति को, लेकिन हो सकता है कि वो जो विरह भाव है वो बढ़ रहा है चैतन्य महाप्रभु का नाम लेने से। लेकिन जब भक्त लोग, तो इसलिए कहा कि सब भक्तों ने मिलकर के एक युक्ति बनाई, क्योंकि चैतन्य महाप्रभु का विरह दूर नहीं हो रहा है, जगन्नाथ जी के दर्शन होंगे नहीं, है ना। तो जगन्नाथ जी के दर्शन तो रथ यात्रा के दिन होंगे, तो अभी पता नहीं कितने दिन हैं, क्योंकि इसी बीच में आ गए हैं। तो 15 दिन के बीच में ही भक्त लोग आ गए हैं और भक्तों की बहुत इच्छा है चैतन्य महाप्रभु दर्शन करें। लेकिन दर्शन तो हो रहे हैं, लेकिन कैसे दर्शन हो रहे हैं, वो विरह में है, वो विरह में है, ना भक्तों को देख रहे हैं, ना कुछ बात कर रहे हैं, केवल रो रहे हैं, चैतन्य महाप्रभु रो रहे हैं। तो भक्तों को जो है ऐसा भी दर्शन नहीं चाहिए, भक्तों को चाहिए कि भगवान चैतन्य प्रसन्न हो और प्रसन्नता का जो है दर्शन करना चाहते हैं। अब प्रसन्नता का दर्शन कैसे करें, तो सब लोगों ने मिल करके जो है युक्ति बनाई, कीर्तन करो, हरि बोल,
हरे कृष्णा। इसलिए भगवान उनके नाम में उपस्थित होते हैं, उपस्थित है। So thank you for the summary. Nice. हरे कृष्णा।
क्या महाराज आने वाले हैं?
Okay. So I gave, basically the extent of my glorification at the beginning. I don't have anything more to add to that, except that, again, to say that we will greatly miss, His Holiness Bhakti True Maharaj. He was a great exponent and disciple and devotee of Srila Prabhupada. And as they say, it's, when such things happen, it's like, we're in a new age almost. It's like it's the whole world has changed. So it's a very unusual time. So somebody else would like to speak? Śrī Caitanya-caritāmṛta ki jai.
Hare Krishna. Vancha kalptrasya kripa sundave